Hey everyone, my name is Sanja from UTRUST, and first good news is that this talk is not going to last for an hour, so I'm going to talk for 20 minutes, half an hour, and then we'll have time for some Q&A if you have any questions. So today I'm going to talk about how blockchain and cryptocurrencies will go to disrupt the e-commerce landscape, and in particular the online payments market. But first, just a few lines about me and my background. So until last year, my career has been totally different than what I'm doing now. So for more than 10 years, my career has always been based on digital, e-commerce, fintech payments. And I had the privilege to work in really good companies like Vodafone, eBay, and PayPal. And in my last role at eBay, I headed up the partnerships team for B2C seller side. And then in my last role at PayPal, I headed up the marketplaces team. So basically, my team was responsible for developing a payment solution for marketplace players. And then sometime mid last year, I decided to shift my career completely to embrace the world of blockchain and crypto payments and work at UTRUST. And this wasn't a really, it was like a difficult decision for me to make, to jump from a $15 billion revenue company to embrace a technology which is not yet massively adopted. However, what I like to say is something that Steve Jobs said a while ago, and actually what distinguishes a leader from a follower, whether that's a person or a company, is their ability to embrace innovation, right? So there are a lot of followers out there, and we like to be the leaders. And we need to do this, whether we are people or companies. And I hope this talk is going to inspire you, maybe not to do the same, but to learn more about this technology. So let's start from the e-commerce landscape, right? So it's predicted that in 2 years' time, e-commerce sales globally overall are going to be worth more than $4.5 trillion. And e-commerce globally impacts 12% of total retail. And it's growing year on year in countries like US and Asia, 10, 15, 20% year on year. So it's quite huge. And this is why any merchant that wants to prosper in the future and grow needs to sell online. This is quite obvious, but for a merchant, so talking about sellers, what are the advantages for sellers to sell online? So the first one is it allows you to align with your customer shopping behaviors. So today, customers not only browse online, but they buy online. They buy on the go, mobile, on wearable tech. So it's really important to align with the behavior of your customer. The second one is to expand your customer reach. So it's quite obvious, but if your product is online, you can reach any customer anywhere in the world. If you are a brick-and-mortar seller, a customer needs to come offline to your store. Growth without borders means that by selling online, it unlocks automatically any country in the world. And last but not least, get up and running fast. So this means that if you want to start selling online, and let's say you want to have a basic store, you can use pre-approved templates, like you can use Shopify, right? And you have your store in an hour. Or you can just create a merchant account on a marketplace like eBay or Amazon, and you can list your inventory. So it's really easy for you to start selling online as a merchant. And this all sounds really nice and really easy. However, it's not, because as any merchant will know, there is a fundamental problem with any online sale. And this problem is called the problem of traditional online payments. And when I say traditional online payments, this is not only a payment with a credit card, but it's any payment with an online processor like PayPal, Stripe, Paydian, etc. So it's almost a contradiction if you think about it, because as I said, like e-commerce allows you to expand your horizons in terms of new customers, new countries, wants you to prosper. On the other side, what payments are doing is they're bringing you down, because if you're a new seller, you have lower volumes, and payment processors will charge you more and more. So you do low volumes, you have no history, and especially if you sell in multiple countries, you will pay really high fees. So it's almost, contradictory, because e-commerce wants you to grow and payments are letting you down. So in a domestic transaction, any merchant will pay between 3 and 5% in fees to all the intermediaries of a payment that I'll show you in my next slide. So that's a huge amount of money. Then the second problem of payments are chargebacks. So a chargeback is, as we know, a reverse payment back to the customer. And a chargeback can happen for a legitimate reason, like, for example, the merchant didn't ship the item. However, in 40 to 50% of cases, the chargeback is related to fraud. So it's a stolen credit card, or the customer is not recognizing the payment on the credit card. So that's not only lost revenue for the merchant, but it can damage their brand reputation. And then the last thing is payments are slow. So if you think about international payments and settlements, that can take up to a week to be completed. So I'll try to explain this as easy as possible. As I was saying, like, a merchant will pay 3, 5, 6% in fees to payment intermediaries. And I'll show you the overall credit card value chain so you can see all the intermediaries which are involved in a payment transaction. So we start from the issuing bank. So as the name says, the issuing bank is issuing the credit card to the customer, okay? So when the customer is paying something on credit, the issuing bank is taking a risk, a debt. And for that, we already pay a fee, which is called interchange fee. Then we have the payment gateway, or the POS system. And that can be either a hardware or a software. And let's say in this case we have PayPal and Square, even if, like, the lines of the two are blurring because PayPal acquired iZettle to enter into offline, but anyway. So the payment gateway, or the POS system, basically what they do is they take the customer information from the merchant to the acquiring bank. Then we have the payment processor. So let's imagine Adyen or Stripe. And again, here, as the name says, they process the payment, so they settle the funds. They allow you to accept multiple payment in your storefront. And they give you additional services like fraud, analytics, etc. Then the card network, like Visa or MasterCard, connects the issuing bank with the acquiring bank. And last but not least, the acquiring bank is the bank of the merchant, okay? So as you can see, like, you have a lot of middlemen and intermediaries, and each one of them will take a fee for the services they offer. So that's the first thing. And the second problem is that whenever your data goes from one player to another, that's a risk of fraud and stealing your data. So that's a big problem of traditional payments, as you can see. And this is why in the new world, and especially in the last few years, new methods of paying are emerging, and people want to pay with crypto. But what is a cryptocurrency? Like, what is this that everyone is talking about? So what is a cryptocurrency? It's quite simple. So first of all, it's a digital asset. So it's virtual money that you can use as a medium of exchange like normal fiat money, that uses cryptography to protect transaction, to secure transactions, and that has a decentralized control, decentralized network, instead of a centralized banking system, for example. So the way I explain this to someone like my mom, for example, is imagine you have a contract that you need to sign. And in the old world, you would have your lawyer in the room, like to check the contract and to sign it. With a decentralized control, imagine that you don't have your lawyer anymore, but you have everyone in this room, so everyone can see the contract, approve the contract. So that's why it's called a decentralized network. So that's the basis of a cryptocurrency. And then why is this digital cash a good way to pay? So first of all, the fees are really low because the payment goes from A to B and there are no intermediaries. And remember, like I showed you, like what are all the intermediaries in a payment? In a payment with crypto on the blockchain, there are no intermediaries, and this is why you will pay really low fees. Then the second advantage is that it's borderless, meaning that there is no concept of cross-border trade in a crypto transaction. So it always goes from A to B anywhere in the world. The third advantage is that it's decentralized, so there's no central bank, government, jurisdiction. It's a decentralized network. And the fourth one is it's accessible to anyone, even unbanked people. And for us, this is maybe something that we don't think about really often, but there are more than 2 billion people in the world who are unbanked. So they don't even have access to a bank or like a credit. They cannot even have a credit card. So actually, this creates financial equality in the world. The way I like to explain this is any new technology, when it's born, it's not perfect, so it has problems. And imagine how payments were made many years ago online. So the first payment made on eBay was in 1995, and basically it was done with a personal check through email. And a year before that, the first payment ever online was done. So a guy bought a Sting CD, and he basically had the technical knowledge to encrypt his own data to make that transaction. So actually the history of payments is a history of complexity, and any new technology needs time to be massively adopted and to reach a point where it works efficiently. And the same is happening with cryptocurrency payments. So today we're at the beginning of the curve, and there are some problems related to crypto payments. So probably you will know this, but they're highly volatile. So the more prices go up and down, the less people are incentivized to pay with crypto, and the less merchants are incentivized to accept crypto as a payment method. Then transactions are slow, so that depends on the speed of the network, but there's a scalability issue because payment confirmations can take up to minutes or hours, and that's not acceptable if we want a system that is massively used anywhere in the world. Then this is really important, but there is no protection for the buyer. So what that means is that we take for granted when we buy something online that if anything happens, like I don't receive the item, I receive the wrong item, whatever, I can call a customer service or I can open a claim, I can receive a refund. Well, that's not the case in this system because it's decentralized. So there's no one to protect you, there's no one to call if anything goes wrong. And then the last point, it's complicated to onboard for merchants. So this is why we have a solution with UTRUST. And basically how the idea was born a couple of years ago, our CEO, Nuno, who is sitting here in the green T-shirt and white hoodie, you can talk to him after the talk, he wanted to buy a holiday online using Bitcoin. He was one of the first investors. And basically, he completed the transaction, and he realized that the website was a scam, and there was no one to call. So he had the idea to create something amazing that would protect the customer even in a crypto transaction. So we are a platform. We are a crypto-to-cash payment platform with buyer protection. So we allow merchants to accept crypto payments, and we convert that crypto payment into a fiat transaction for the merchant, and we also provide a buyer protection system. And basically, our product is made up of three sub-products. So the first one is a wallet. that a buyer has to pay with their favorite cryptocurrency, multiple crypto. Then the payment platform for the merchant, and we also have a POS system for brick and mortar online. So offline, sorry. In any case, the payment is always instant, reliable, and seamless and secure. So the first pillar is that we protect merchants against volatility. So as I said before, volatility is a huge issue in crypto, and merchants don't want to be paid in cryptocurrency because they want to price their item a certain amount and they want to receive exactly that amount of money. Makes sense. So what we do is we protect merchants from the volatility associated to a crypto payment, because once the payment is made, we immediately convert it into fiat money that the seller will settle in their bank account. The pricing is really clear for a merchant. We take 1% on each transaction, and that's it. So that's significantly lower than any other payment processor, traditional payment processor in the world. Then transactions are instant because they happen within our network, so you don't have to wait on the blockchain. And this is really important, but as I was saying before, we provide the same level of protection as any traditional e-commerce platform. So this means that if anything happens, you can have a first level of escalation. This is similar to what eBay uses in their claim management, but you have a certain amount of time where you can interact with the seller directly. So you can solve the claim directly with the seller. Only if you don't reach an agreement, then we will step in the conversation, and we will either decide in favor of the buyer or the seller, so you'll be able to receive a total refund or a partial refund for your claim. And last point is that the integration is really seamless, so there's no cost to try, and from one integration only, you can start accepting immediately multiple crypto into your front store. So we have developed official integrations with the major e-commerce platforms in the world to make it extra easy. However, a merchant can also integrate directly with us through public API. We are trusted all over the world. So I'm responsible for global partnerships at UTRUST. So partners, we are seeking to integrate our payment platforms, marketplaces, e-commerce software, so anyone who can really help us enlarge our merchant base and our buyer base. So just to give you an example, Payrex is a payment platform that will be able to allow more than 10,000 merchants to accept UTRUST as a payment method. Gambio is the largest German e-commerce software. We have an official partnership with them, exclusive. And basically, they will allow their user base of 25,000 merchants to also accept UTRUST as a payment method. So we are trusted all over the world through many partnerships that we have signed already. We are also recognized by top investors. So we are part of the 500 Startups Network. And we are one of the very, very few blockchain projects they have integrated into their last batch. So, just to summarize, it's really easy to get started. It's really easy to operate. If you're interested, you can come to us, come to the booth and talk to us. And I will also have some time now for any questions. If I cannot answer, someone at the booth will be able to answer them, or our CEO, Nuno, here in the first row. So yeah, I'll allow some time for questions now. Do we have a microphone?
Okay. Is it possible to use another wallet? Okay.
Yes. So there are two possibilities. So we have our own UTRUST wallet, but you can also use any other wallet that is ERC20 compatible. So the difference is that if you use the UTRUST wallet, The payment confirmation is within our network, so it's instant.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Thank you. You can find us at our booth.